Tradesmen built America. Not policymakers or desk jockeys, but hardworking, blue-collared men and women. Join me, Roger Wakefield, on conversations with some of the nation's most successful skilled laborers. This is the Trade Talks. How come elevator mechanics make so much freaking money?
Mostly because of the education that they do and their training that they get while they're in the NEAT program.
Okay, so what is the NEAT program?
NEAT program is National Elevator Industry Education Program. It's a 4-year apprenticeship program, and once they get done with their 4th-year apprentice and set for the mechanics exam, then they take a mechanics exam, become a mechanic, card carrying mechanic, and that's when they start making the good money.
Okay, so you think y'all are paid because of the education, but plumbers, pipe fitters, and welders go through a 5-year education, but they don't make as much money as y'all do.
It's we're a small, industry. There's only 35,000 members in the union, and we're the top building trade in the trade right now. So it's education and the work that we do, the quality work we do.
So when you say top building trade in the trade, what do you mean by that?
Well, we're the top trade in the building trades today.
Pay-wise?
Pay-wise, yes, sir.
Okay,
Pay-wise, yes, sir.
And I knew that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But not only that, y'all got some freaking amazing benefits.
Our bennies are great, man. It's, I was just talking about every year that you turn in is 1,700 hours. And once you turn in 1,700 hours, just keeps bumping up for pension credits. Got a gentleman that's been in 65 years because he worked so much overtime. Just bam, bam, bam. So it's a lot of money.
Now, does y'all's pension end at 35 years where, look, this is where you max out or anything?
Nope, keeps going.
So at 65 years credit.
Yep.
How old is he?
He's probably 68 and he's still working. He's still making it.
Man, I remember being on a job one day and I don't know, we were waiting on materials or something. Elevator mechanics are downstairs working. Is that what y'all go by? Elevator mechanics?
Elevator mechanics, yeah.
Elevator mechanics down there working, and I don't know, one of the guys was just standing around kind of handing stuff down to another guy's working on the escalators.
Yeah.
And I'm standing there talking to him. I said, so y'all union or what? He says, oh yeah, we're union. Got to talking to him, and I thought he said 1,500 hours credit for a year.
Yeah.
And he may have said 1,700. And I'm like, man, that's not even like a full year. He says, no. He says, but also however many other hours, 200 hours or something like that, or 100 hours or however y'all track it. He said, I can get lots of years credit.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, how in the heck is that?
That's how they do it.
Man, y'all negotiated a great contract.
Yeah, they really did when they went and negotiated. They got a great, great deal.
Man, that's phenomenal. And I say that like, how come y'all make as much and plumbers and pipe fitters and all them don't? But man, y'all have earned it because y'all
it's a dangerous job, yeah, and it's demanding. So
very interesting. So, did you know growing up that's what you wanted to do?
No, I would never even thought about being in the elevator trade. I worked, in a warehouse majority of my adult life. And I had a buddy of mine that actually his grandfather was in the trade. I'd went to work, worked in a warehouse, went out of state to work with him, come back, and I was sitting around going, man, I got to get a job. This, I got to go back to a warehouse. This is all I ever knew. And he said, hey, you want to try the elevator trade out? I was 25 at the time, and I said, yeah, I'll give it a shot. And 27 years later, here I am. So, it was good.
Very interesting. Yep. Very interesting. Now, nowadays to get people in, which I know you recruit, you look for a certain type of personnel.
Right.
How often do y'all bring people in, and how many people do y'all bring in to your local each year?
Well, our recruitment starts it's every 2 years, and we try to cap it at probably 500. And then once we get through the interview process or the application process and the testing part, we get it down to about 200 and something. And then they go through an interview process. And then this last recruitment, we only ended up with 124 guys that were on the list to go to work.
And how many active members do you have in your local right now?
We've got about 750, yes.
And just brought in another 125?
Yeah, well, they won't become members until after they've been in for a year. But yeah, we're steadily, because we've got guys that are retiring, man. They're going, they've done, they're leaving. Yeah, yeah, we're trying to fill it back up.
And I talk, both in here and over on my other channel about for every 10 people in the trades that retire right now, only about 4 are getting back in.
Right.
It's getting harder and harder.
Yeah,
to
it's
find.
thinning out. There's not a lot of people that's got the drive and the motivation to go to work and put the time in to get it.
So take just a second, Zach. Tell everybody who you are and what it is you do.
My name is Zach Cutbirth. I'm the business rep at Local 21 Elevator Constructors.
Okay. So what does the business rep do?
The business rep that handles all the business at the local. I put guys to work, handle all the business with the signatory companies, try to find the guys employment.
There's not many non-union elevator mechanics out there, are there?
No, there's not. There's very few non-union elevator guys. So
well, let's go back to what we were talking about, people getting in the trades. Why do you think it's harder to get people into the trades nowadays?
I think that they're not real. They're more thinking about education. They think they can go somewhere and get a college degree and not have to work, as hard as the guys that work in the trade. The trade school's tough. You put it in, you put the time in, you get it out, you get what you put in. But some of them guys, just, the younger generation, that's just me speaking. They think that, I'm going to go to school and then I'm going to come out making $1 million and be the CEO or run the job. And it's not going to happen that way. And it's a hard reality, for some of them guys to do that.
Well, that's why I'm not in the Navy. I went down to sign up and told them I wanted to be the admiral.
Yeah.
And they said that job was filled. I'm like, I'm not joining.
Yeah, see you later.
That's the kind of people we get those days.
Yeah.
That they want to come in. I want to be the top plumber.
Yep.
I want to make the most money. I want to decide where I work, who I work for, what I wear.
You got to put the time in. That's just what it is. And a lot of guys, a lot of younger generation, they haven't figured that out yet.
And people like me and you, and we had breakfast today, so we got to talk.
Yeah.
It's not just put the time in. It's be the best employee.
That's right.
Show up early. And I don't mean come in early and start working. I don't mean stay late and start working, but show up early. Be there. Right. Be ready to go. Be in your work area. 7 o'clock comes, boom.
Yep.
Toolbox open, bags out. Let's roll.
Yep.
Let's do our safety meeting. Let's do whatever we got to do.
That's what I tell the guys to say. Be good at your trade, the field that you're in. You got service, repair, mod, construction. Be the best you can be. Be at work on time. Don't be late. My famous quote that I tell the apprentices when they come in, I'm like, if you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. And if you're late, forget about it.
Yeah.
And they just look at me like, what's wrong with that? And I'm like, no, man, you've got to be on time. You got to show that you want this job. It's just not the fact you showed up. Yeah, I'm here. Okay, you owe me this. No, bust your butt and make the money and do a good job.
And you're going to get paid really well for it.
Oh, yeah, you're going to get paid very well.
What is, now I know y'all got, I'm going to call it a floating scale.
Right.
Depending on how far away you are from your local area, your center point. This video is sponsored by Leak Pro. Go check out leak-pro.com. What is journeyman scale in your area right now from bottom to top?
Right now, a journeyman scale is $53 an hour.
Okay.
Then that's the journeyman. Then you got MIC that is running the job. I think they're at $57 right now. I'd have to look at
about a 9%.
Yes, I'd have to look at it, because I should have it.
You don't make
top of my head.
You don't make those numbers.
I'm like, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's if you're right within your work area.
Yes. That's across the state. If you're a mechanic,
okay,
a journeyman elevator man per se, you are making mechanic's wages no matter where you go across the state. MIC is a job mechanic in charge. If he goes to a big job and runs the job as a foreman, that's what he does.
Okay. Now, what if that is 7, 8, 9, 10 miles outside of your downtown area?
We have in Dallas, Fort Worth, we have East Zone Primary and West Zone Primary. If you're working in Dallas and you're classified as East Zone Primary, if you go to Fort Worth to work, you're making Interzone. That's $42 extra a day that they pay you to travel to Fort Worth, and vice versa. If you're in Fort Worth, then you go back to Dallas. And then also we have outside of our primaries, it's a 9 to 10 mile radius. It's A zone. You make A zone and more money. And then you got B zone, which is 19 miles out. That's a higher rate. And then you got per diem. Once you go out of the 9 counties that we consider B zone, then you're making per diem.
Okay.
Depending on if, A per diem, option A or option B, depending on what you want to do. If you want to drive home every day or if you want to stay at the hotel every night.
Oh, that's interesting. I like that. Okay. So we are about 30 miles outside of downtown Dallas. If they built a big building over here on George Bush and put elevators and escalators in it, and I was working 30 miles outside of Dallas, what kind of money would I be making?
Well, like I said, I don't have the sheet right offhand.
Ballpark.
You'd be making, plus your hourly rate, you're making $61 a day because you're in B zone.
Man,
that's plus your hourly rate every day.
That's not a bad deal.
I'm shooting from the hip because I don't have
right. No, and it's going to be different all across the country.
Yeah, it's going to be across because different locals negotiate different expense agreements, and so it's different everywhere you go.
So, how hard is it to get into the elevators union? Do you have to have a relative? Do you have to have a friend? Do you have to be personally patted on the back by somebody and know the secret handshake and all that?
No, back in the day when I got in, it was pretty much everybody knew somebody.
Okay.
And it's still kind of that way now, but now we have an entry exam. You want to get in the elevator trade, you come take an entry exam, you pass it, then you move on to the next stage of being interviewed. You pass the interview process, then you make the list.
Okay.
So.
You said you originally took 500 applications.
Right.
Do you take applications from anybody that brings them in? Do y'all
anybody that
advertise, hey, we're looking for people?
Yeah, we'll have on the NEAP website, or a lot of times that, like I said, somebody knows somebody.
Right.
Somebody's friend knows somebody. Hey, tell your buddy and this buddy and this buddy.
Recruiting, right?
Yeah, we're recruiting. So they go on the NEAP website, they log on there, and then they register to take the exam for Local 21. And even if they want to take it in Local 21 and they want to take it, in Houston down in Local 31, if they want to get on both of those lists, they can do that. It's just a little bit of traveling there. But once they get on they test, and then we move on from there.
What are you looking for? You take your original 500 applications, and then they take a test. What kind of test is this?
It's a basic arithmetic. It's composite, reading. It's nothing really hard. We're just looking for somebody that's motivated, that wants to, and it's tool knowledge, that wants to know, that knows about tools and is ready to work and willing to do the work.
Okay. Tool knowledge. What kind of tools?
They're basic hand tools.
Okay.
Basic hand tools.
Nothing crazy.
Channel lock screwdrivers.
No special elevator.
No, nothing special because hand
no
tools.
Sky hooks. No, nothing like that.
We only use those out in construction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, do y'all have the elevator rung stretcher too?
Yeah. Yeah, we have those too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we got pipe stretchers.
Yeah, you got pipe stretchers, yeah, and wire stretchers.
You bet. Absolutely. All the above. You get to the interview process. What are they looking for?
They're going to look and see how you are, if you can think on your feet, because some of the questions that are on there are, how would you handle this situation? How would you handle it if you done something wrong and nobody knew about it and it could, mess up the job? They want to know what you're going to do, how honest you are, and if you can handle it and think on your feet. And then they'll have one of the questions. It's like, if you've one of the most complex projects you've ever done, can you explain to me what you did, what your role was in it, and what tools you used? Because some of the guys, they know that they've looked and they've took the tests. They know basic tool knowledge. They know the pliers, everything else. But then if you ask them about a project that they did with somebody, then you want to know what they used exactly. Because, some of them are just, like I said, going, oh, I used the screwdrivers and hammers. You're like, well, there's more than that.
A little bitty pair of channel.
Yeah, a little baby pair of channel locks and screwdrivers. And when you look at that list and you're going, okay, you built a hot rod, but you only used channel locks, screwdrivers, and a hammer.
Yeah, no mines, no calipers.
Yeah, there's nothing else. So I wonder how this drives down the road.
Yeah.
So, and if it even runs. Yeah. So that's where you look at it. You see where they go, where they rate on that.
I like the way you said how it runs down the road, because the road's got to be going down.
It's going to be going down. It's not going to be flatter up the hill.
Yeah, you're right. I love that, because people ask me that all the time about the plumbers union. It's like, what are they looking for? I said, men are looking for good people. That they're looking. That's at the end of the day what it is.
They're looking at people that want to go to work every day, earn a good wage, make a good living, and put in good quality, equipment and work, and then come back the next day and do it again. Reliable.
Mm-hmm. I used to talk to people that came to work for me. Look, all I want is 8 hours work for 8 hours back. That's all I want.
Yep.
I don't want you to break your back. I don't want you to try to run. I don't expect you to be superhuman. But, man, when I look up, I expect work to be getting done. A lot of people that come in the trades today, do you think they have that same mindset?
Some of them do, and some of them don't. Some of them want to, they want to work 8 hours, but, they want to get paid for 5. It's hard. It's not hard to find those guys. It's who we look for, because we laugh. All elevator guys are Class A personalities. We're going to do our thing, no matter what you're going to tell me, we're going to do it.
You bet.
We want hardworking guys. Like I said, you work 8, get paid for 8. You work 10, get paid for 10. Don't half-ass anything. Do it. Give it 100%, and then go home and feel accomplished.
You know, I remember talking to a guy one time, and you couldn't hardly ever find him. And it's like, dude, where you at? He said, man, I got Porta Johnny and take a nap. And I'm like, are you freaking serious? And he's like, yeah. He says, after lunch, I'll go out there to use the restroom. And he says, I just kind of kick back, lean up against the corner. And I'm like, no wonder you don't get nothing done.
Yeah, no wonder. And it's a great place to go to the bathroom.
Oh, yeah. Who wants to take a nap in there?
Right.
And I still think about that. I'm like, some people work hard to find a way not to work.
Yep, working hard to get out of work.
Yeah. And it's like, man, if you put half that effort into doing your job, the job would be easier and you'd be making more money.
Yeah, you'd be the top-notch guy. You'd be up there.
So the elevator unions, like the plumbers union, you've got scale.
Right.
Can a good hand make overscale?
Yes, a good hand. Like, so we tell guys that, are mechanics, if they go and they want to negotiate, above scale rate, that's on you. You do that because you better be able to do that kind of work.
Perform,
because if you're just selling yourself as this and you're not doing it, you're getting over scale, and then they figure it out. You're going back to scale work.
Look, I'm lucky. My dad taught me to be a hard worker.
Right.
Taught me to do things right. I think which I got in the union late. I was a plumber for, from 82, 83, or really 80 when I first started, to 97 open shop. So 17 years open shop.
Right.
Not all of it in plumbing. I'd bounce around, try other things for a little bit and get right back in it. But then in 97, I got in and really started focusing on learning and growing. But I joined the union in 97, and probably by 98, I was making overscale. And anywhere from $2 to $5 to $10, I moved up to where I was making double scale while I was a superintendent.
Yeah.
It would surprise people to know, look, you can negotiate a better package.
Right.
I had vacation. I had holidays. I mean, it was like, look, I want it all.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, one company, and my dad used to get on to me because he worked for CWA for almost 40 years. And I remember being over at his house one day, and he's talking to me, and I told him about a new job, new company, and all that. And he looks at me and says, son, look, he says, man, you ought to think about just settling down at one company. Settle down at one company and stay there. I said, Dad, you know, I don't just quit and go look for a new job. I said, I've got two companies that I've bounced kind of back and forth between, but I don't quit and go to them. Somebody comes to me and says, hey, we need you for this project.
Right. Yeah.
And he kind of looked at me funny. I said, look, they're both union contractors. Now, he was CWA, so he was with Western Electric, AT&T, Ma Bell, Southwestern Bell, all that. So that's really the company that there was. I said, that's a little different. I said, they come to me and, hey, we got a special project we need you to run. I said, Dad, this last time I left and went over, I said, they pay me an extra $6 an hour. He said, that's $12,000 a year. I said, I know. He said, you know what? I think you're doing okay. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Rocking and rolling where you're at.
And it blew his mind because he's like, look, you're supposed to stay at one spot and take care of that company, and that company will take care of you. It's like, yeah, for the most part. And at that particular time, when I left one of those companies to go work for the other one, I was walking down the hall one day, and the owner saw me. He said, hey, come step into my office. And we step in, he pulls two chairs up, just about like we are.
Yeah.
And he says, Roger, I want to talk to you. He says, how do I keep you here? I said, you can't. And he looked at me, and this is one of the larger mechanical contractors in town. I said, you can't. He said, well, what do you mean by that? I think you know we can. I said, well, here's what they're offering me. You'd have to pay me that. And what's that going to do to the other superintendents, the project managers, the people else? Because you know they're going to find out.
Right.
I said, I'd disrupt the apple cart. And he said, man. He said, I hate that. I said, it's okay. In a couple of years, you'll pay me more than that to come back. And he looked at me and he said, I want to tell you you're wrong, but I've got a feeling I'll see you again. I said, I think you will.
Yeah.
3 years later, I'm walking down the hall in his office. And he sees me and he just kind of shakes his head. He said, he said, I guess we paid you. I said, yes, sir, you did. I said, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yep.
And it's it's good to be a hard worker.
Right.
It's good to learn anything and everything you can. Your mechanics, do they have education available to them all year long?
Yes.
Where it's like, hey, I want to learn something new.
We have continuing ed that they can go on the NEAP website and they can learn anything that they need to on the continuing education part of NEAP. And they get paid for it. They get 8 hours pay for doing extra, continuing ed.
You bet.
So
that is cool.
Yeah.
That is really neat. The union has that. And I know right after I got in the union, they were looking for med gas plumbers. So I went down to the hall, signed up for a med gas class, took it, and it was great because then all of a sudden they're like, hey, we'll give you another $1 an hour, $2 an hour, something like that. And I'm like, okay, that was easy.
Yeah.
All I got to do is learn more and make more money.
Yeah, you got to get a little bit more education and I make more money. Yeah, this is going to be great.
I think that's where it clicked.
Right.
So when you got in the union, what about you made you want to be good?
What made me want to be good? Well, because, the way I look at it, and I tell the guys, okay, so if you put a crappy job in later down the line when you become a service guy and that crappy job's on your route, and then you look back at it and go, oh, I'm the one that put that in.
Yeah.
Now it looks like. So that's what I was. I never really thought about being a service guy, but I was doing new construction and I wanted to do the best job, quality, on time, great job. So I can say, hey, I put that in. I can tell my kids, I can tell my buddies, hey, that's a good job. I put that in. Because in 20 years when they're tearing it out and you might be the mod guy tearing it out, you're going, oh man, I put this in. So what I just tell them, it just motivated me to do a better job and to see, that if you do a good job, you get paid better, you learn more, and you could just keep doing a better job and hone your skills.
Like that. One of the plumbers that I learned under, and I still think he's one of the best plumbers I ever worked with. And, when an open shop guy comes into the union, they're like, look, you're a rat. You don't know anything. You're uneducated. But luckily I worked with some really great plumbers, but one in particular. And I asked him one time, I said, why do you always do things right? And he said, the last thing I want is to be out at a restaurant or at the box store or the hardware store, something like that. And somebody come up to me and I'm there with my family and they say, hey, you know what? You did a job for us and you cheated us.
Yeah.
You stole money from us. You lied to us. You did this, you did that. And I see that happening in the plumbing trade all the time. Yep. There's a lot of plumbers that aren't trained by good people.
Right.
And they're doing shady work. And it blows my mind.
My dad just always taught me, do a good job, put something in that you don't have to worry about later down the line. You give them 100%, you do a good job, don't second guess yourself, because when it's done right. You don't have to go back and when you get home in the evening go, man, did I short on this? Did I do this wrong? Did I do that wrong? If you done it right, then just move on to the next one. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Honest work.
As a plumbing company owner, you get up in the morning, you turn on the news, it's like gas caused a house to explode in Dallas today, and all of a sudden you're like, uh-oh, what, did we do any jobs? Did we do any gas jobs in Dallas lately?
Yeah.
And so stuff like that's interesting. How did you teach apprentices to be better?
I just teach them, because the guys that were before us did a good job. So you need to live up to their expectations, do a good job, make it where the guys coming in behind you can say, hey, I remember that guy. He did great work, man. He didn't half-ass anything. He was at work all the time, did a good job. I want to be just like him. And like I tell them, if you go to work every day and learn, you'll do a great job. And then people will be looking for you going, hey, I want that guy on my job. And that's how I get them motivated that way. Some of them are kind of slow to get motivated, but then the big picture comes around and they go, oh, I get it now. So that's how I do it.
You call them helpers their first year.
Well, back when I got in, you were a helper. Now you're an apprentice because we're registered apprenticeship with the the Department of Labor. So now they're classified as apprentices.
Okay.
So we call them apprentices. Yes.
That way, if they're in the military, they can draw.
Yeah.
You bet. No, it's logic, smart. Right. I like that. If someone is going through the apprenticeship training program and they're working, how is it? Do they go to school 2 nights a week? How are y'all set up?
we go for your first 6 months in the trade as a probationary. You're an apprentice for a year, but your first 6 months you're doing your probationary courses on a computer. Once you finish those courses, then we enroll you into one night a week at the Union Hall, and you go to class one night a week at the Union Hall.
So the first 6 months, you're in a classroom every day.
No, not the first 6 months. First 6 months, while you're working. We back up, and while you're working, on the job training, OJL,
You bet.
and OJT. You go home and you have 6 months worth of courses that you have to do at home on your computer every day
On your time.
on your time.
Good.
Because you got to get them done by a certain amount of time, and if you get locked out and don't get them turned in, then we got to make a phone call and tell you, hey, get your stuff together.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then once after their 6 months and they finished their probationary courses, then they're eligible to be enrolled into on-site classes at the local there. Yeah, and they'll come one night a week depending on what course they're put in.
And where's y'all's local at?
Our local's in Arlington, right across from AT&T Stadium there off of 30 and Baird Farm Road.
Okay. You just brought in 120 new apprentices.
Right.
How many of them are going to make it 5 years?
That's a tough one, man. I would like to see all 120 something,
But
it's
that's
not going to happen. It might be 20% of those guys, maybe, because some of them are going to rock along. I tell everybody, you're going to start 90% of the time. You're going to start in construction. When it's hot outside, it's hot inside. Cold outside, cold inside. It's labor intense work. Some guys they figure out, hey, this ain't for me. I'm going down the road, and they go down the road. Some guys stay there and hey, I love this job. They stay. But, it just all depends on how they want to do it and what kind of cojones they got.
I had a guy, I was working out at DFW Airport, and we were running some 20 and 14-inch carbon steel pipe. As a plumber, I was the superintendent on the job. So plumbers, pipe fitters. God, I don't think we had HVAC techs out there at the time. It was just plumbers and pipe fitters and welders mainly. And hired this kid. He was new. Brought him out, and he's one of those that's like, okay, you sure this is what you want to do? He's like, oh yeah, that's what I want to do. So we got out there, and I think it was cold. God, I don't remember if it was cold or if it was really hot. No, turn around, it was hot. And we get out there and we're working, and I go down and check on them. I was up in the building, back down in the tramway and all that. And I get down in that area, and he's over doing something, but you can tell he's not all into it. It's like, man, you okay? He said, yeah, can I talk to you for a second? I said, absolutely. He said, hey, this ain't for me. I said, okay. I said, you want to grab your stuff, and I'll run you out to the car? Do you want to work today? He said, no. I've already called my mom. She's going to pick me up right over here. I told her where we're at. He said, I'll just walk through the gate and go out there. And yeah, it's like, it's not for everybody.
Oh yeah, we have guys. I had a guy working on a job with me when I first got in the trade. Gung ho comes in the first day, and you're tailing rails and heavy equipment, stuff, parts into the building. It's cold outside, and he's like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be back." That was 9 o'clock. We never saw him again. Never saw him. His safety bag was sitting over by the gang boxes when he came in that morning, and never came back. I had a kid I had a guy that got in the trade. He's my age. And, I'll work circles around these young kids, So, okay. Do you realize what kind of work this is? Yeah. About a week later, I get a text. I didn't know that I'd be building elevators when I got in. I just thought I'd be working on them. And I said, what do you think the giveaway was that said elevator constructors?
Yeah.
So, yeah, he quit via text message.
I didn't think I'd be working on it. I thought I was just going to ride them all.
Yeah, I just thought I was going to ride them, push buttons, watch pretty lights light up.
Absolutely. That's a lot of fun.
Yep.
Yeah, it's neat because, God, what job was it? I was on a job down in Austin and got to hanging out with the elevator guys. So I had a key to open the doors and, quick call and all kinds of stuff. And everybody's like, oh, how come you do that? It's like, dude, I get my job done.
Yeah.
I ain't got time to wait. They're like, yeah, but how'd you do that? It's like, you got to know the right people.
Yeah, you got to talk to the right.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, how do I get an elevator quickly? You got one of these keys?
Yeah, and they look at you,
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What's the best thing you see about new tradespeople coming in?
The best thing about new tradespeople is that some of them are wanting to learn. They've got to drive. They want to be successful. They want to make the trade better than it was when they got in. and they're learning and they're doing their job and doing a good job.
What is it most people coming in do that ends up costing them this career?
Costing them this career, lackadaisy, you know, not showing up for work, you know, coming in late, you know, being kind of disrespectful. You know, this is a hard trade, construction worker, guys. You know, this is real life. I tell them, you know, if you have, you know, your feelings, if you have feelings, you're probably going to have to leave those. Check them at the door, check them at the gang box. Because as a probationary apprentice, they're going to ride your butt to see what you're made of. And if you've got feelings that get hurt to you, this is probably not a good trade for you to be in. But they're doing that to see who the next person is that can fill their shoes.
You bet.
And do that. But being at work every day and missing work, because construction work is usually done with pairs, repair work is done in teams, you know, and mod. But if you're not there, then your mechanic, there's limited stuff that he can do.
You bet.
So you just ruined his whole day, you know, and you got behind.
Or the superintendent, because he's now juggling people around,
right,
shifting and moving, and
yeah, he's calling somebody, hey, can you come over? Can you give this guy a hand? You know, and then you know what that does logistically.
Oh, yeah. You know, it's funny because I had a superintendent call me from a company one day. He says, man, I need to talk to you. So, okay, a friend of mine. He says, I got your son on my job. I said, okay. He said, man, he's not coming in on time every day, and he's trying to leave early, and what do I do? I said, you go ask him what I'd do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he says, what would you do? I said, I'd fire him immediately.
Yeah, send him to the house.
He says, are you serious? He says, this is your son. Okay. If I'm not going to expect it from him, I can't expect it from anybody else.
Yes, you can't expect it from the other guys.
And he did. He walked up to me and says, hey, man, me and you need to talk. He says, okay. And he climbs out of the scissor lift, whatever he's done. He says, you're not showing up on time. You're leaving early all the time. Calling in sick. What's going on? And, you know, something, whatever the reason was.
Yeah, that day.
And he says, well, let me ask you this. He said, what would your dad do? He says, oh, Dad would have already fired me.
Right.
He said, well, man, that's what I might have to do. He said, I understand. No hard feelings.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have expectations because at the end of the day, as the superintendent, as a foreman, you got a job to get done.
Right.
And you got a short time to do it. I tell people all the time, I was really good at getting jobs done on time, under budget, and safely. And that's what we're looking for.
Right.
And if I love hearing these union workers say, I hate the union because I never had work. I got laid off all the time. I never this, I never that. And I'm like, well, you apparently weren't the best worker on the job. You're the easiest one to let go of. This video is sponsored by Leak Pro. Go check out leak-pro.com. You can get in the union. Do you know people that are in the union that have never been laid off, let go of?
Oh, yeah.
It happens.
Right, yeah. Got guys that have been at companies 25, 30 years, 40 years, been there, hired in, stayed there, never been let go, fired or nothing. And then the other guys, what happened?
They just don't like me.
Yeah, they don't like me. I guess I did something wrong. Go to work.
That's the answer right there.
Right. Yep.
I love that. Is the union that hard to get in?
Not really. It is, but it isn't. I say that because, you know, they're gonna have to earn that to get in the union. It's not that hard if you put in the work and see that that somebody, the mechanic that you're working for, sees that you're a good guy and you're a good apprentice. You want to work and make it. No, it's not hard to get into. The hard part is getting to work and doing a job the right way and safely.
What are the good things about being in a union?
Good thing about the union is that we got good benefits, good retirement, 401k, a pension. You know, you got somebody to stand up for you if you're done. If company's doing you wrong, not paying you right, not doing this right, somebody will stand up for you. You don't have to go to bat for yourself.
What are the bad things about being in a union?
I wouldn't say there's really not bad for me. Some guys don't like it because they don't want to pay the dues. They don't want to pay.
And that's crazy. How much are dues?
Well, it depends on what local you're out of and what an apprentice, like, if you're a probationary apprentice, you pay a work permit every month. A card carrying member pays it every quarter. So ours right now is $711 every 3 months. and guys,
$711.
$711 every 3 months. And guys just, that is too much, man. But then I stopped and looked at it. And I was like, look at your benefits. Look what you're getting paid for your retirement, your pension, your 401k. On your insurance, nothing comes out of your paycheck.
Right.
The company is paying for that.
You bet.
And then
And it's for your entire family.
yeah, it's for everybody.
Yeah.
Once you meet your deductible, it's 100%.
I used to tell people, look, if I married a lady that had 50 kids, now they're my kids, they're all covered in insurance.
Oh yeah.
And they're like, well, not for free. No, it's for free for me.
Yeah.
The insurance the employer has to pay for it, but not me.
Right.
And they're like, that is wrong. No, it's not.
No, it's the job I took and the benefits that I got.
You bet.
So
People don't understand. And look, when I was recruited into the union, or when I applied, they brought in about, I think the guy told me, 62, 64 people at the same time they brought me in. Work was booming, into the 90s. They needed more people. And brought me in. And about 6 months later, I remember talking to one of the recruiters. He said, you're one of 2 people left.
Yep.
Paying the union benefits, paying their dues is the one that always got them. And it's like, guys, it's like $50 a month.
Yeah.
It's not that much. What are you complaining about?
Right.
You're making, $10 more an hour than you ever have. A lot of them.
Right.
Me, I think I was making $6 more an hour, but still, it's like, okay, that's $6 an hour.
Yeah.
That's $240 a week, and I'm gonna get mad because y'all want $50 a month or $60 a month, whatever it is.
Right.
I'm not complaining about that. Love the insurance. So you talked earlier about $53 an hour scale right now.
Yeah, about that.
Okay. That's on the check.
Right.
What is the total package?
Total package is about $100 an hour.
See, that's what people don't get.
Yeah, when you
I thought about it whenever you say that the way you did a while ago. I thought, wait a minute, because I understand the local 100.
Yeah.
Here's what's on the check. Here's your total package.
Yes. When you break it down to them and show them the total package, then they stop and think about it and they go, man, some of them guys, the younger guys are like, I never really thought of it that way. I said, man,
You got to think of it.
they're paying this much to your pension, this much to your 401k, this much to your health care, this much to your education fund, this much for work press, and this is what you're getting an hour. I'm not the best at math, but that's
It adds up.
It adds up real quick, and then they stop and think about it and they go, you're right. So, yep.
That's a $200,000 a year job.
Right. You can make that if you're wanting to and willing.
Yeah. But I mean, even just straight 40 hours a week,
Yeah.
and $100 an hour,
Right.
that's a $200,000 a year job.
Yeah.
Now, you may not be getting all of it on your check, but you're going to get it later.
Yeah, you're going to get it later.
Or you're getting it through insurance,
Right.
or you're getting it through education.
Right.
There's a lot of things there, and that's what people don't understand about the union. I think there's great benefits to the union.
Right.
I told you at breakfast, I'd love to have Mark McManus, the president of the UAN,
Yeah.
the president of the IBEW, the president of, God, what is the sheet metal workers, SMWAC,
MC or ACME, yeah.
yeah, something like that. And y'all's president. I think those are the 4 highest paid, best skilled trades. And I don't mean carpenters or roofers, or nobody isn't. But I mean, 3 of those require a license,
Right.
a professional license. Y'all have your own licensing
Right.
system that you've got to pass out
Right.
of.
What a lot of people don't understand with the IUEC, everybody that is like our general president, Frank Christensen, our assistant general president, Jim Chapman, our senior district treasurer, all those guys are elevator guys.
Yeah,
They started as an apprentice, just like I did, and like everybody else did, because some companies or some unions, they look at this guy that's a CEO at another company and they're like, hey, we're going to hire him and let him run our local, our union. We don't do that. Everybody that is up in the union, at all the different organizations we have all came out of the field.
Yeah.
And that's what I get a lot of those apprentices. I'm like, hey man, you're starting as a first year apprentice. You could have my job in 6-8 years,
or you could have his.
you could be the president in 10 to 20 years. You could be this. And then that's when you get a lot of them too. So,
and I love that. And I think McManus came up through the trades.
Right.
Most of the people that I know that are high up in the UA did.
Right.
I don't know what locals they came from and what they did and whatnot. But, we need more people in the trades.
We sure do.
All the trades.
Yes.
And it's, I think y'all have got kind of advantage because you're probably the highest paying,
Right.
the best benefits. There's a lot of things y'all have above all the other ones that make it easier for y'all to fill those positions.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, there's a million unfilled trades jobs across the United States
sure
right
is.
now. I had a friend of mine who's the president of one of the local mechanical contractors. And I said, if I had in the barn back there as many skilled, licensed tradespeople as you needed, how many could you hire? He said, I can hire 100 of them today.
Yeah.
And you've got to think about how much money these companies are losing by not being able to fill all the positions.
Yeah, to fill those positions.
Because that's how they make money.
Yep.
They rent labor.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got labor that can do your job. I'll rent it out to you.
Right.
And it's a rough way to look at it. A lot of people don't like hearing it that way, but that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, at the end of the day, that's what it is.
Yeah. He's renting me out to do my job for you.
Yep.
And the one thing that I always told people in the trades is, look, educate yourself. Become the smartest, become the best, become the hardest working, because the best make more money. That's all there is to it.
They're always going to be there.
Yeah.
They're, if you're just a mediocre guy,
You're always going to
that's where you're going to be. If you don't ever move up, make it to the higher spot, you're never going to be there. But if once you get to the best, you're there. We tell them that they think it's funny because, they could coin the phrase in the elevator trade, sky's the limit, man, because you're just steadily going up. All you got to do is go to school, get your education, put the work in. You can make money.
And never stop learning.
Never stop learning.
That's the big one. And I hate to say this because I talk about it all the time. Plumbers, HVAC technicians, electricians, most of us, once we get in the trade, we know I got in to be a plumber.
Right.
Once I got my plumbing license, guess what? I hit my goal.
Yeah, I'm there.
I'm a plumber now. Leave me alone. Let me go plumb.
Yeah.
Yeah. I set a goal. I set it really low.
Yeah.
And I hit it. So, man, I'm good.
Right.
But, I mean, even, I'm sure elevator mechanics that once they pass that test, they don't learn anything else. They're just like, look, let me go be an elevator.
Yeah, and, and
they good money.
And we say that's fine if that's what you want to do.
Bet.
But, if that's what you want to do it. And just stay there, but be the best where you're at that level. Don't be mediocre.
Yeah. And I like that because, to be honest, if you're enjoying the Trade Talks, hit that subscribe or follow button, which helps us produce this awesome blue-collar content absolutely free. And now, back to the episode. Mediocre is like the middle 60%.
Right.
You got that bottom 20% that, when it's time for a layoff, your name's already on the list. You don't know it.
Yep.
Your name was on the list the day you walked on because your reputation preceded you.
Yep.
But we need a heartbeat. We need a breathing body.
Right.
The top 20%, you know what? They'll be here till the last nuts tightened up.
Yeah. Yep. Till we're shutting the doors.
Yeah.
Yep.
And when it's time to hand them the keys and say it's all yours, these top 20% will be on here. Or that's going to be the last ones you shift over to another job.
Right.
Or you may shift them earlier where it's like, okay, look, they're only going to need 2 more mechanics and I don't want to lose y'all from the company.
Yeah.
So we're going to move you over.
Move you to another department or something.
You bet. Or, hey, you know what? I'm moving 3 guys for your job. You got to let go of 3 you have.
Right.
Pick your bottom 20%.
Yeah.
Who you're going to cut because we're moving mechanics.
Do what you got to do.
You bet.
Yep.
What do people in the elevators union have to learn to move up? What kind of things help them learn to grow, to improve?
You've got to learn, when you first come in, you're doing basic safety. You're learning electricity, motor generator fields. You're learning there's all kinds of OJT stuff. You learn how to work on doors, how to work on all kinds of elevators. So you learn, your first year, you're learning all this stuff because, like I said, you come off the street and you don't know, you learn tool knowledge, you learn stuff like this, basic tools, what's going to be done, how it's going to be done, the process of how to put it together. And so they're learning steadily every year. When I got in, it was modules. Now they're 100, 200, 300. They've changed it all, but I've been in, since 97. So it all changes. So there's different. I couldn't tell you the breakdown of what the, from modules to classroom, what it is, but they've got to learn all kinds of basic electricity, pipe and wire and, hoisting and rigging, safety, stuff like that.
Is that what they learn to become foreman, superintendent,
Yes.
stuff like that?
Yeah.
Go above and beyond.
Above and beyond. Yeah.
What's the most amount of hours, the most amount of years credit somebody can get in a year?
It's the most that like I said, it's each 1,700 hours counts as a year. So if you work that in 6 months, then, that's a
full year.
That's a full year.
Yeah.
So you go another 1,700, that's a year. So within a year, you've just made 2 years of credits,
And I've done over 3,000 hours.
Right.
Once or twice. Not a lot.
Right.
But that's a lot of hours to be working.
Oh, yeah. A lot of guys that work new construction, service, the service guys make good money. The service and repair guys.
They can work around the clock.
They can work around the clock. You're on a call rotation, at 12 o'clock midnight, you get a phone call, you get, bumped out of bed. We used to always laugh and call it socks on to socks off. Because as soon as you get the call, you're going. And, you may have to drive 30 minutes. You may have to drive 2 hours.
Yeah.
But you're getting paid the whole time. A lot of those guys will take those. There's older guys that are on the service, in the service department. They don't want to work on the service rotation, on-call rotation. So they go, hey, man, you take my hours. So there you go. You're working all that hours. So, it pays well. Very well.
I remember talking to a guy, and he's literally like, and this is whenever I first found out about y'all's union and the benefits and how good it is. And he's like, literally, he said, I can get about a year and a half to a little over, or that's what he had been getting.
Right.
And I'm like, dude, you can get a 30-year pension in 20 years, though.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, oh, yeah. He says, my plan is not to work till I'm 50.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, wow.
If you could go in right now, if you work, you could retire at 58 with full benefits. But, who's going to retire at 58? I would love to.
Oh, yeah.
But, the accountant that I'm married to at the house says I'm not retiring at 58.
That's the boss.
Yeah, the boss. Well,
you bet. Yeah.
I'm not retiring until I'm older than that. And I was like, oh, okay, thanks. So, yeah, you could retire at 58, full benefits.
What's your future look like?
What's my future look like? Well, I would like to, I'm the business rep now, only been in that position 1 year. I'd like to stay there and learn more of the business part of the union, the local, and learn more of it and maybe move up. There's work pres, there's organizing, there's different facets of the elevator trade. Maybe move up. But if not, I'm happy where I'm at because I'm doing a good job for my members and my union brothers and making, doing a good job and keeping them guys working. That's all that I mostly worry about, keeping my union brothers working.
Well, man, and I love that. How many big jobs do y'all have going on right now?
That's hard to say because, they're everywhere, and we were doing the, right there by Cowboy Stadium, they did the Lowe's Hotel. So that was a big job. We've got big jobs everywhere. It's hard to pinpoint them down, because they're all over the Metroplex. So.
And when you said 700 members, that's Dallas and Fort Worth.
Yes. That's all over the state of Texas.
700 members in Texas.
Yes. Because we cover, Local 21 covers Dallas, Fort Worth proper. We go as far west as New Mexico. Far north is Oklahoma, far east is Texarkana, and as far south as Temple and Waco. So we have 750 members in that jurisdiction there.
So that's not a lot of people per square foot, per square mile. But then again, you're the trade out of the four that I mentioned. Y'all don't do much residential.
No.
How many residential elevators have you installed or worked on?
I've never worked on a residential elevator in my 27 years in the trade.
Okay.
I've seen them.
Yeah.
Never worked on them.
So Neiman Marcus.
Right.
I got a call Cool Call. I got a call to go over there. We were doing a bathroom remodel. And I walk over and I knock on the door. And this sweet little old lady answers the door in her robe. And I'm sitting there talking to her. And at the time, I was driving a 59 Chevy Apache pickup truck. Primered. The driver door wouldn't open. I had a clogged up fuel tank. So after about 20, 30 miles, it'd clog up on you and you'd have to pull over and wait for all the particles to drop. Yeah. To drop away from the filter. You bet. And I pull up, and the whole time I'm talking to this lady, she's like leaning up over my shoulder and
looking at that.
She's looking.
Yeah.
And I'm talking to her, and I'm like, Miss Marcus, I'm here to work on your bathroom. And she says, "At a 59." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, yes, ma'am." She said, "Apache?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She said, "Has it got the floor starter on it?" because it had a key stuck in it.
Yeah, and then you reached over and hit a button, and it started the.
Does it have a floor starter?
Yeah.
And you stuck the key in, turn it, and then press that floor on the pedal. Make sure you had it in neutral and all that. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, can I drive that? She said, my daddy had one. And she said, I got to drive it. And I'm like, look, I've got problems with it. The fuel tank is not good. It clogs up. It'll die. I said, look, I pulled over and had to sit in it for 20, 30 minutes waiting to do that. And she says, okay, I just asked if I could drive it. And she's just looking at me like, look, I'm going to drive that truck.
You didn't know that I'm driving that. Yeah.
And I'm like, I said, yeah, but look, and I stuck my hand up like that. She said, yeah, 3 on the tree. I'm like, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's funny.
And she says, hand me the key. And she, in her robe, walks out, grabs my key, goes around. I open the passenger side door. She climbs in and slides across the bench. I shut the door. Or I asked her, I said, you want me to go with you? She says, no, I want to go alone. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get fired.
Yeah, I'll never hear the end of this one.
Shut the door, and she takes off, and all of a sudden it's like 5, 7, 8 minutes. I'm like, I know I'm in trouble. And sure enough, she comes pulling back in and gets out. She climbs out of that truck like she's 15 years old. Happy, smiling, bouncing, and came in. She says, let's go upstairs and look at the bathroom. So we walked inside. I grabbed my tool bag, and we walk inside, and she says, I'm going to take the elevator. Why don't you take the stairs? First time I saw an elevator in a house.
Yeah,
and I'm like, wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've only seen a couple of them, and that's first I always look, you're like, that's big money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this was Neiman Marcus's.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's very big money.
That's big money.
And, man, it was just, she's the nicest lady. Had so much fun. But that was the first time I ever saw an elevator in a house. And I'm like, wow, this is how the other half live.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not even the other half. This is how the top 1% live.
Yeah, this is how they
Yeah.
I don't even rate down there.
Yeah, no doubt. If anybody wanted to get into the elevator union, and I know y'all aren't going to be hiring again for 2 more years in the Dallas area.
Right.
Now, does every local in the U.S. recruit at the same time?
No, they do different times. They have different recruitments. The easiest way for if somebody was wanting to get in the elevator trade, they would go on NEIP.org. That's NEIEP.org, National Elevator Education Industry Program. And it'll go on there and it'll pull it up. And then you scroll to the bottom and there's a map of the United States. You highlight the city that you would like to go to work for, and it tells you when their recruitment is. If it says it's happening now, click it, and then you just sign up for the recruitment.
So does yours already say we're recruiting again? And
ours says ours is over, and then it'll state when it is tentative.
Cool.
So yeah, that's how they do it.
Okay, so if somebody wants to get in the elevator union, and they're in Dallas, they hear this right now, they get on today like, hey, I want in. If they know they're not going to get into the elevator union right now, what would be a good job for them to go get beforehand?
The best thing for them to do, I would go and do just, a construction trade, some kind of a trade. Because something that's, learning tools, learning electricity, piping and wiring. We run our own hydraulic pipes, we run our own electrical pipe, all that stuff. Something to do associated with that. So when you do come in and you test, you could test higher. Plus, then when you have the interview, you have that on your background that it's trade related or somewhat construction related, then that gives you extra points. Because you've got some guys, not knocking them fresh out of college. They want an elevator trade, but they have no
hands-on skills.
No skills. They've never done any construction, any kind of work like that. So that it doesn't dink them, but it does. Right. But if you've got general knowledge of somewhat of a trade or anything, construction oriented, it's gonna be better for you.
So I'm thinking either either electrical or HVAC are going to be the best.
Right.
The reason I think HVAC is 90% of it's electrical.
Yeah.
And it's controls type.
Right.
Which should be more what yours is.
Right.
Although y'all probably do run a lot of high voltage.
Yes, we run high voltage. Well,
not high voltage, but 110, 220,
440 and stuff like that. Well, because like when we always laugh, we tell everybody, electrician is an electrician, plumber is a plumber, elevator man is a electrician, piping, a plumber. He does all that. We are a specialty trade with all different specialties in it. the electrician brings the power to the control room or the machine room, and we take it from there.
Right.
Nobody else goes with it. We take it. We run our own, hydraulic line when, for the hydros, stuff like that. So we learn all that. We weld our own brackets on our beams. We weld our machines down. So there's welding that they could go do. So yeah.
How much of what you see happen in movies on elevators is even believable?
It's not believable. It's not believable.
You didn't even know that was.
Yeah, I was like, okay, I always laugh though when they see those. I'm like, oh no, that wouldn't happen. My wife's like, shut up, you're ruining it. I'm like, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's impossible.
If it does, let me know because I want to go see where it happened so I can go. That was crazy.
I love it when the elevator hits the bottom and the fire explodes and all that, and it's like, wait, there's nothing down there to explode like that.
Yeah, I know. I always laugh too when we used to go on service calls and you get people. I dropped 5 floors, and I'm like, the elevator dropped 5 floors. Yeah, and you're still walking. Yeah. Man, you are tough.
Yeah, you understand? Because when it dropped, you'd be up here at the top.
Yeah.
And when it stopped, you're going to slam on the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah.
But your back's not even hurting you?
No, because you can, an elevator is, mechanically and, if you got brakes on it, just like if it overspeeds, it's going to trip the governor. Safeties are going to set. The car's going to slide to a stop. It's going to be an abrupt stop, but it's not going to be like I fell 5 floors and it just.
It's like it, yeah.
Yeah, just like you landed on a pillow and walked out. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then again, it's not going to be like it hit concrete floor where it just is sudden.
No. I mean, it's going to.
100 miles an hour to zero.
Yeah. You got buffers down there. It's going to make a loud noise and it's going to, it's going to wreck some stuff out. But it's not like you're just going to, this is fun. Time to go. In the movies, you see it go to the top, overspeed. It can happen. But, electrical and mechanically overrides, it's not going to go to the single way up to your top like that you see, and you always go, okay. But hey, it makes good movies.
It does. It looks amazing.
Oh, it's cool.
It's like when they do the fire protection systems, somebody takes a ladder and sets off one head and then every head in the building's.
Yeah, every sprinkler goes off and you're like,
yeah, that's not.
Yeah, you're like, I don't think that's how. Yeah.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Pretty interesting stuff.
Yep.
So if somebody wanted to get in touch with you about going to work in the union, how can they find you?
They can find me if they'll go on IUEC local21.org and click on there. We got employment opportunities, and then there's office personnel. You can click on there, and it's got my cell number, my email address. It's got our secretary's numbers, our field rep, and our business manager's number. Call me, send me an email.
What's the craziest thing you've ever seen on a job site?
Craziest thing I've ever seen on a job site?
Craziest job you've ever worked on? Either way.
Well, we did American Airlines Center back when I was a younger apprentice / helper. It was crazy because, you see some stuff going on that, as in construction, you see guys that, you're supposed to be tied off, anything above 6 foot, supposed to be tied off, safety harnesses. You see guys that are over 10 feet and they got their lanyard wrapped around their neck, but they're not tied off, and you're looking at them going, when you fall, that's going to hurt.
Yeah.
You see some crazy stuff. You see some stuff that you're just like, you shake your head because you're going, do y'all even know what that's going to do to you when you fall? I've, seen jobs where, certain people of trades get mad and burn the porta potties down, and that makes for a lovely smell, so yeah.
How many females do you have in the?
At our local right now, we have 2. We have 2 apprentices. Yep.
No mechanics right now.
No.
Okay.
We've had prior females that were mechanics, and they've moved on to other locals or they've retired. Yeah.
Okay.
When I first got in the trade and worked for Otis Elevator later in my career, there was a lady in West Texas. She was a card carrying mechanic and been doing it forever, and great lady to work for. She had her time and retired.
Man, most women in the trades do really well.
Oh, yeah.
That they move up, that they work smarter, not harder.
Yep.
And we end up looking at them every day and saying, yes, ma'am.
Yeah, they're more determined.
They are.
You see, because the reason I say that is because, construction field's a man's world. And it's slowly evolving that there's more females in the trade. But, they're striving and working harder so they can turn around and look at you and go, hey, look who I am.
Yeah.
And then for the younger generations of the females, they can go, hey, if I made it, you made it. Come on, let's go.
Absolutely. No, I try to recruit women.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I have no problem with it.
Yeah. Tell me about the worst job you've ever been on.
Worst job.
No, I asked that a while ago. Tell me about the best job you've ever been on.
Best job I've ever been on? That's a tough one, man. I've had some great ones with the guys that I've worked with. You know, I've been on some that we had crews that we've all known each other, 10, 15, 20 years, and we're rocking and rolling. Job gets done on time. We had a job in downtown Fort Worth at the Carnegie Building. All those guys that I had worked with were all seasoned mechanics. We had seasoned apprentices. Best job ever, man. We joke, a construction job, guys are always, there's no horseplay, but, there's time and a place for it. We all got along great. There was no drama, no bitching and moaning. People did their job, and we went right on along, finished the job on time, and, you get a pat on the back and say, hey, that's a good job, man. You turned out a good job. You get proud of it. My kids, like I said, I get in the car, we start driving, I point, and they go, Dad, we know you worked in that building.
And that, yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'll just shut up. And they're like, no, you're going to tell us another one about 10 minutes down the road. So I just don't even say anything anymore.
No, I know the feeling.
So
I think the trades are probably the most prideful profession that there is.
Yep.
I don't think, I often try to think of another job that has that much pride behind it. And I don't know.
Yeah, because like I said, I tell my kids, you want somebody to know that you did that.
You bet.
That your name's on that. So when, in 20 or 30 years, when you're dead and gone, and they go, oh, Zach put that job in, or, this and that, and it's good to see that.
It's neat.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
and like I say, the trade is great. You're getting paid well. You're getting an education. You're moving up in the trade. I tried college for all of about a semester and realized this ain't for me, man. I'm never going to make it in college.
Mm-hmm.
I need to go back into the workforce. And that's what I did. I went back in and made my mind up. Hey, I'm going to give it 110% wherever I go. Here I go, and there I went. And so
I love it. If you could go back knowing everything you know right now, you wake up tomorrow morning and you go back to little Zach the day after he graduated high school, where he walks out that door for the first time to go look for his first job, what would you tell him based on what you know now?
I'd tell him to get in the elevator trade, man. I mean, because starting out as a young man, like I said, the benefits, like I said, right out of high school, without a college degree, you're not going to make that kind of money that those guys are making right now.
And me and you talked about that at breakfast.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah.
What can somebody, the apprentices you just brought in, the ones you just talked
Yeah, so an apprentice right off the street is making a little over $25 an hour. That's no experience. Some guys go to college for how many years, and they come out, they get a degree, but they can't use their degree because it's not worth it, and they're not making that kind of money.
Yeah.
And then they're mad, So, yeah, it's great.
And then they got that student debt they never paid.
Yeah, then they're paying off their student loans, and here you don't have to pay anything. It's all paid for. Your school's paid for. You earn while you learn is what we say, because, you go to school one night out of the week, you don't have to pay any student loans back. It's a trade school. It's all paid for.
I like it that y'all are one night a week, and you talk about y'all make more because you're more educated.
Yeah.
And plumbers and pipe fitters and welders go to school 2 nights a week.
And they're not educated. No.
Oh,
no. I'm kidding, man.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
It's a highly sought after trade, because you've got people, I tell guys when I call them, hey, guys, you ready to go to work? Can you give me 2 weeks? Hey, brother, there's a guy
I can give you 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's a guy right now that's fixing to take your job, and then they call you back in 6 months. Hey, I'm ready for that job. Sorry, man, that ship has sailed.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell them that, but you got to tell them.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Look, all the union jobs, I think, are good positions.
Right.
Some of us have some problems with unions. Some of us don't. It's good for everybody, believe it or not. It's a great education.
Right.
Great benefits, things like that. Yeah. If the union calls us and says, hey, we got a position for you, you decide then, either I want this position or I don't.
Yeah. All right.
And
I'm going to kick rocks for 2 years or whatever until I finally realize this is not what I want. Maybe I should have took that job.
Yeah. Might have been a good idea.
Yep.
Zach, this has been fun.
It's been great, man.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Thank you.